Hello gamers, this is Sai, and welcome back to Which Way Games. Now, what is one move that is guaranteed to bring down the enemy?
Now that makes me wince every time, and with that being said, let's get on with the video. Now I do love fighting games, and my friend Justin, aka the Game-o-holic, set me a challenge within this fantastic genre of gaming.
Sai, what I want to know is what are your top 10 fighting games that don't include Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter?
And as we know, I accepted his challenge, but Justin, I have a counter challenge for you yet again. I want to know what are your top 10 most violent games of all time.
What a twist!
The deadline is the end of January 2022, so plenty of time to find some violent games. But before I get carried away, let's see what games appear on my top 10 fighting games that don't feature Mortal Kombat or the legendary Street Fighter.
Neat.
In at number 10, with the power of the prehistoric era, is Primal Rage.
In the mid-90s, it seemed that fighting games were the game of choice for most gamers. And when combined with the prehistoric world of yesteryear, gamers are left with Primal Rage. Now Primal Rage is set on Earth where humanity has reverted back to the Stone Age, and in this now post-apocalyptic world, 7 fearsome creatures with powers beyond the comprehension of man have emerged.
These beasts are worshipped as gods, splitting into 2 factions, one for good and one for evil.
Each of the 7 playable characters have their own strengths and weaknesses, while some just take the concept of fighting a bit too far, with moves that will make your nan blush.
Starring the king of rock himself at number 9 is Clay Fighter.
The 16-bit era of gaming has always had some classic fighting games, appearing on the Sega Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo. But when it comes to Clay Fighter, this amusing game mixed humour with the art of fighting.
What made Clay Fighter stand out from other games at the time was its claymation style of graphics.
With 8 playable characters ranging from a snowman with a bad attitude, going all the way to a fighting piece of taffy, Clay Fighter was a hit with gamers of the 16-bit era. And being a basic fighting game at its core, Clay Fighter revelled in making fun of itself and other fighting games, even parodying bosses that have control of the supernatural psycho power.
Punching its way in at number 8 is Dead or Alive 2.
Arcades have been the home for fighting games since the 80s, but when the Dreamcast graced the world of gaming, Dead or Alive 2 brought the action of the arcade into the homes of gamers.
Dead or Alive 2 borrows heavily from the Virtua Fighter series and became an instant hit for the Dreamcast, emulating the success of the arcade.
Gamers can play as 14 characters, and when combined with plenty of gaming modes, there is more than enough to keep avid fighting fans busy. And for those that want to add a certain bounce to the game, then check out the age meter in the options menu.
Searching for fame and glory at number 7 is Power Stone.
Myths and legends have tantalised humanity for a millennia, especially with the tales of fabled treasures with mystical powers. And one treasure in particular was called the Power Stone, that is said to hold the ability to grant any wish or desire.
This was the story of Power Stone, a fantastic game for the Dreamcast and playing similar to the Super Smash Bros. Series of games.
But what made Power Stone a true classic for the Dreamcast was the ability of unlocking more powerful versions of the fighters, even if one did resemble a certain Super Saiyan.
In at number 6 with the power of science is Killer Instinct.
Developer Rare are famously known for the Banjo-Kazooie series, as well as the legendary GoldenEye. But when it came to Killer Instinct, Rare was still blessed with that Midas touch. Being inspired by Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, gamers were able to play as 10 characters, each with their own abilities and endearing qualities.
Some of these characters came in the form of a werewolf, an undead warrior, and of course who forget the beautiful but deadly Black Orchid.
With its over-the-top combo system, Killer Instinct is a fighting game that every gamer should have in their collection. But can the gaming elite reach the elusive 80-hit combo?
With the power of the mutant gene at number 5 is X-Men Children of the Atom.
Now Marvel has always had its hand in the world of gaming, with multiple titles spanning several genres. But when it comes to X-Men Children of the Atom, this simplistic fighting game fits perfectly within its genre of choice.
With characters such as Psylocke and Wolverine, gamers are certainly in for a treat.
Playing very similar to other fighting games from Capcom, X-Men Children of the Atom turns the action up, and gamers will find themselves in a fast-paced, high-octane fight for glory. And for those elite gamers, a certain redhead fighter with the power of the Dark Hado will make himself known.
The quest for Soul Edge continues at number 4 with Soul Calibur.
On its release, the Dreamcast was blessed with some amazing games. However, there was one game that stood above the rest and became a must-have title for Sega's white box of fun.
Soul Calibur continues the story of Soul Edge and is highly addictive to play as well as being super fun.
Mixing the art of fighting with weapon-based combat, Soul Calibur was the perfect addition to the fighting genre. It's easy to see why Soul Calibur has gone down in history as one of the best fighting games for the Dreamcast. But do you have what it takes to stop the evil of Soul Edge?
Turning Super Saiyan at number 3 is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2.
Ever since Akira Toriyama blessed the world with the Dragon Ball franchise, fans old and new can't get enough of this popular series starring Son Goku. And with a list of games starring Earth's most powerful Saiyan, it's easy to see why Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2 became an instant classic for Dragon Ball fans.
Finally, Dragon Ball fans could answer the age-old question of who would win in a fight against Goku and Vegeta without any interruptions.
Now, Tenkaichi 2 takes place through the various sagas from the main series, where gamers can relive their favourite moments, but the multiplayers with a fantastic game really stands out. Gamers will be able to feel the power of Kaioken as well as the devastating force of Final Flash in this amazing fighting game from the Dragon Ball franchise.
In at number 2 is the classic Virtua Fighter 2, where fighters from all over the world come together to test their strength.
Sega games have always had a certain appeal about them, especially those from the creative mind of Yu Suzuki. And when it comes to Virtua Fighter 2, the magic of the first game returned, especially with 11 playable characters to bring the smackdown.
Fighters from all over the world have come together to test their skills, including the legendary fighter himself, Akira.
Gamers certainly won't be disappointed with Virtua Fighter 2, but do you have what it takes to win by any means necessary?
Now, before we get to the prestigious spot of number 1, here are a few honourable mentions, and of course, don't forget to check out Justin's list.
Over the years, some games have gained a cult status, while others have fallen into obscurity. But luckily, gamers like Justin and myself, as well as so many others, are here to remind gamers of some of the forgotten hits of the past.
Now, maybe in the future I'll come back to some of these games in an underrated fighting games list.
Nice.
The number 1 spot is actually held by 2 games, and first up, dominating the opposition, is the fantastic Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Now, Nintendo have dominated the world of gaming ever since the 80s, and it seemed inevitable that a game would appear that would put some of Nintendo's greatest gaming mascots in a battle against one another.
Now, the first Smash Bros. Was fun to play, but when it came to Super Smash Bros. Melee, the action was turned up a notch.
Once again, gamers could choose from some of Nintendo's classic gaming mascots, but this time around, there were 25 available characters to choose from. With newcomers such as Ganondorf and Falco Lombardi, gamers were blessed with some fantastic multiplayer action.
And next up at number 1, with the power of the Iron Fist, is the legendary Tekken III.
When it comes to the PlayStation, there are many games that need no introduction, and Tekken 3 can stand tall among the elite PlayStation games. Being the third installment to this fantastic gaming franchise, Tekken 3 perfected the art of fighting, with its precise controls and fluid gameplay, as well as a popularity that stood the test of time.
Every now and then Tekken 3 will appear on gaming nights, but of course we can't forget Tekken 1 or 2, but out of the three, which is fighting perfection.
Gameplay for Tekken 3 is far superior compared to the two previous games. With its perfect controls and realistic movements, it's no wonder that Tekken 3 is regarded as one of the greatest games of all time.
So there you have it, my top 10 fighting games that don't include Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. It does make me appreciate all the fighting games within the fantastic world of gaming, but what I want to know are what are your top 10 games that don't include these two legendary hits. Anyway, come back next time where the month of horror returns to the channel once again, and this time around I'll be looking at the Splatterhouse timeline and the struggles of its reluctant hero. Thank you so much for watching and see you next game.